I filed bankruptcy at 23 years old for just $20,000. Not $1 million, not over a failed empire, not over a bad business decision, $20,000. And here's the part nobody tells you about that moment. I didn't file because I was irresponsible. I filed because a few fellow Marines who I was asking financial advice from told me that it was the fastest way to get out of debt. Nobody told me what it would do to my credit. Nobody told me the damage that would follow me for years. Nobody told me that a decision that I would have made in 60 seconds would cost me the next decade of my financial life. I trusted bad advice from people I loved and trusted, and I paid for it. By the way, if you've ever faced that in your family, in your situation, drop discipline in the comments below. Because what you're about to hear is the story behind the law that changed everything for me. And it can have the same power to change everything for you. How? Let's get started. 3, 2, 1, let's go.
Who are we? Hey, 7-figure squad. Where we go? Run it up, run it up.
What's cracking, everybody? Mighty smart guy, Matt Sapali here, hailing to you from Dallas, Texas, and welcome back to the 7-Figure Squad YouTube channel. This channel is for people who want control. Control over their money, their decisions, their future. Faith-based, real-world proven, and that's you. Welcome home. This is episode 7 of God's Economic Code, a series that we've been having here. In Scripture, 7 is the number of completion, of perfection, of wholeness. God rested on the seventh day, not because he was tired, because the work was complete. We've covered 6 laws in a series. We covered order, capacity, freedom, structure, multiplication, last week ownership, 6 laws, 6 episodes, and today, on the 7th episode, we add the law that makes all the 6 complete. What is that? Discipline. Without it, nothing we've built holds. But with it, everything compounds. Now, let me take you back. Not to a highlight of my life, not to a win, not to a moment I'm proud of, to the moment I hit absolute zero. I was 23 years old in the middle of my second enlistment in the United States Marine Corps. I thought I was doing the right thing. I followed the advice of people around me, and I filed bankruptcy for $20,000. And the consequences hit me from 2 directions at the same time. Well, first, my credit was destroyed. Years of damage from one decision made in minutes. And second, when the time came for the Marines to consider re-enlisting me, they weren't interested. I became a single father, went through a divorce. I was a combat deployable unit. And in the Marine Corps, they can't make that work. They're not worried about your child. So the decision was made for me. My military career was over. Now, here's what I want you to understand about that moment, because most people will call that failure. I call that a forced pivot, because sometimes God closes a door not to punish you, but to position you for something you would never have chosen on your own. I wrote about this season in my book, Faith Made Millionaire, and best-selling book. It's just not a brand. This is a testimony, because the man who filed bankruptcy for $20,000, who got pushed out of the only career he thought he had, went on to build something that most people said wasn't possible. Not because he got lucky, not because he had advantages, not because someone handed him anything, because he made one decision at rock bottom that most people never make at the top. Never again. If that's you, if you ever faced that situation, drop 0 in the comment section below. Because 0 is not the end. 0 is where discipline begins. Now, fast forward. I get into the life insurance industry and I start to find my footing. Learning the products, building relationships, creating momentum, learning how to make my first $50,000, first $100,000, and then something starts happening around me. The mid-2000s, real estate's on fire. Not warm, not growing, on fire. Loan officers and real estate agents making $30,000 a month. Here I'm struggling at 5, 6, 7, 8 grand a month. Properties just flying off the market before the ink was dry. Everyone around me was getting rich, driving Humvees, buying 2 flats, 3 flats, 4 flats. Fast, people getting rich. People I knew, people I respected, people who started in the same place that I did. And in every conversation, every dinner, every phone call, they were telling me the same thing. Matt, get in. Get it now. It's hot. Stop with that insurance thing. Well, everyone else is winning. You need to be doing too as well. Of course I felt the pull. I'm not going to pretend I didn't. I saw what everyone else was building. I watched the numbers and I wanted it too as well. But something quiet, something I can only describe as a voice of God, said one word: stay. Stay with life insurance. Stay with retirement planning. Stay in that lane. Stay with whole life and universal life and index universal life and fixed and index annuities. Stay with your retirement planning seminars. Stay in your lane, Matt. Here's what made that hard. It wasn't just the money I was watching other people make. It was the identity. Because in that season, real estate was a status symbol. If you weren't in real estate, you weren't serious about making money, you weren't serious about wealth. And I had to make a decision every single day to stay in a lane that nobody around me was celebrating, while watching everyone else seemed to be winning. That's not just discipline. That's obedience dressed as discipline. If that's you, if you've ever been tempted in your career or business, drop tempted in the comments section below. Now, before I tell you what happened, I need to address something. Because somebody watching this just thought, but Matt, what if I'm in the wrong lane? What if the problem isn't that I keep jumping out of my lane, but that my lane is the wrong lane entirely? But here's the honest answer. Most people are not in the wrong lane because of bad information. They're actually in the wrong lane because of pride, because of what other people would think if they pivot, because of the fear of starting over, or the fear of looking like a failure, or the fact that you got to admit that the last 5 years you spent in your career was actually in the wrong direction. Stephen Covey said it best. If the ladder that you're climbing on is not leaning against the right wall, every step we take just gets us to the wrong place faster. Hard work in the wrong industry doesn't pay. That's what I realized. Discipline in the wrong direction just gets you lost faster. And here's where faith has to step in, where pride's got to step out. Because faith is what gives you the courage to climb down from the wrong wall and place your ladder where God is actually calling you to be. And I know what that feels like. The Marines didn't re-enlist me. I thought that's all I knew how to do is be a United States Marine. And that door was shut. Both times, fear said stay. Pride said stay. Faith said move. And both times, what was on the other side of obedience was better than anything I could ever stayed for. If that's you, you feel yourself in a faith step, drop faith in the comment section below. Because discipline without direction is just busy work. And busy work is not the same as built. Now, let me tell you what happened when I stayed in my lane, in the insurance lane, stuck to my guns with my retirement planning, my seminars, my workshops, because 2007, the cracks started showing. Not loudly, not dramatically, quietly. A loan here, default there, whoop, a foreclosure. People who were paying attention could actually see it coming. 2008 hits. Bam, the Great Recession hits. And it hits hard. I see companies like Bear Stearns and Merrill Lynch and all these companies, these stalwarts of the economy, of our finance industry, collapse, having to merge with companies, go out of business. The S&P 500 loses 37% of its value in a single year. 37%. In other words, people who spent 20 and 30 years building their retirement savings, watch a third of it disappear overnight. The average American worker lost $10,000 from their 401k in 2008 alone. Those closest to retirement, people 50, 60, 65 years old, with 20 or more years of contributions inside their IRA or 401k, lost more than 25% of everything they had saved. People who are 2 years from retirement had to go back to work. Baby boomers had to work an extra year and 9 months just to get back where they used to be. Not because they made bad financial decisions, because their money was in the wrong structure. And then the housing market collapsed on top of it. Home prices fell 27% nationally. In the hardest hit states in Arizona and California and Florida and Nevada, home values dropped more than 50%. Homeowners woke up one morning and discovered that they owed more on their mortgage than their house was worth. That's what we call upside down, underwater, no exit. The loan officers making $30,000 a month that I was mentioning earlier, gone. Real estate investors and real estate agents, gone. The real estate investor told me I was leaving money out on the table. See ya, nowhere to be found. And I watched all of it from inside a thriving business, because here's what happened when the recession hit. Clients weren't coming to me because of my personality. I'm not going to flatter myself and say that they were. They were coming because of what I represented in the financial services insurance space. Safety, certainty, predictability. These insurance products were stress tested through the worst economy since the Great Depression. While most Americans watched their 401ks lose 30, 40, 50%, my clients lost nothing. not $1. Because fixed and indexed life insurance and fixed and indexed annuities don't participate directly in stock market losses. I wasn't just watching from the sidelines. I was on television. I was on radio, WGN, NBC, ABC, Fox, CBS, Fox Business. I had a weekly financial show on WGN 720 AM, broadcasting from the Tribune Tower in Chicago's Mag Mile. I co-hosted a financial reality TV series on MSN called The Invested Life. I was featured in the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times. While the financial world was burning, I was the person the media was calling to explain what was happening and what to do about it. Not because I was lucky, because I'd stayed in my lane long enough to become the authority in it. And that experience, watching everything else collapse while clients slept soundly like my mother, became the inspiration for my second book, Gotcha. Because I realized why most people get financially destroyed in moments like the Great Recession. It's not bad luck. It's 5 financial traps nobody warned us all about. In part 2 of this episode, dropping Wednesday, I'm going to walk you through every single one. If that's you, if you ever faced it or you feel that a storm is coming, drop storm in the comment section below. Based on what's going on in the economy, if you feel there's some rockiness in the economy, things you need to be shaky about and worry about, drop storm in the comment section below. Here's another area of my life that I faced the storm and stuck with things. 2014, I'm building, I'm growing, I'm leading. And I discover, buried in a small print of a contract, that I don't own what I thought I owned. The company I was with had contractual control over everything I had built, and I was an independent contractor. They had ownership, they had dominion over me. I was told to stand down, stop personally branding, no more money smart movement. That door was shut. Now here's where discipline becomes the difference between destruction and destiny. An undisciplined person in that moment reacts, retaliates, burns the bridge, loses everything in the process. I responded, however, but not immediately and definitely not emotionally. I responded with discipline. And that discipline in a moment of rejection led me to DM Patrick and David in 2014, and we were connected in 2015 in person. And when my wife joined me in building this vision, everything changed. Not overnight, not with a lucky break. Through 8 years of disciplined reinvestment, of coming to workshops, investing in big events, every dollar that could have gone into a bigger lifestyle went back into the business. We invested in bigger office space. We invested in bigger staff. We invested in more events. We invested in taking care of our agents, building the movement instead of building the appearance of success. 8 years of choosing the mission over just looking good in the moment. And in July of 2022, bam, a 9-figure exit. Now here's the part of the discipline story most people skip over. After the exit, the bank said we can borrow $3.2 million for a home. You know what we did? We chose less, not because we couldn't handle that type of mortgage, because discipline showed up again. We wanted a mortgage payment that we didn't have to think twice about, that we have to stretch about, that we didn't have any pressure paying each month. No lifestyle creep dressed up as success, none of that type of jazz. Today, we live in this beautiful community called Starwood, one of the most prestigious guard-gated communities in all of North Texas. 550 is a custom estate homes, 24-hour guarded gated security, built and developed by who? Jerry Jones, owner of the Dallas Cowboys. Pro athletes are our neighbors. Top executives, medical professionals, surgeons, leaders at the top of their fields. And we sleep like kings and queens. Not because of what the bank approved, because of what discipline decided. If you feel that you need to invoke delayed gratification, put delayed gratification in the comment section below. Again, delayed gratification, if that's what you need to invoke, put it in the comment section below. Now, let me give you 3 disciplined decisions you can make today. We're going to do this before part 2 drops on Wednesday. I hope you process it, you make some notes, and you keep that for part 2. Because decision 1, you got to remember this, you got to audit your wall. Audit your wall, not your lane, your wall. What is your ladder leaned up against? Get alone, get quiet, and ask yourself honestly, is the ladder I'm climbing leaning against the right wall? Not the wall other people expect me to be on, not the wall that looks impressive, not the wall that gets the most likes, the wall God designed you for. Because hard work in the wrong direction is just disciplined failure. And pride and fear keep most people climbing the wrong wall their entire lives. And faith is the only thing that keeps you and gives you the courage to climb down, gives you the courage to start again on the right one. Decision number 2, protect before you build. I'm working with a executive right now. Late 2000s, he made a stock trade. Put $8,000 on a particular stock, $8,000. Today, that position is worth more than $2 million. I asked him, what kept you from being tempted to sell it over all these years? I mean, what the temptation is here, $8,000 go to $500,000, your $8,000 goes to $1 million. I mean, who wouldn't want to be tempted to sell some of that and enjoy a car or a vacation, make some dumb purchase? Here's what he said. I was just too focused on my work. He didn't have a brilliant strategy. He just had focus. And focus is discipline in disguise. And here's the rest of the story. Now he wants to retire. And that $2 million position is sitting in something that can go down just as fast as it went up. And he says, man, I need to de-risk. He needs to protect what discipline built before the next storm arrives. And that is exactly what part 2 is going to show you how to do. This coming Wednesday, don't miss it, which leads me to decision number 3. Choose the long game today, not next year, not when the timing is right, not when you feel ready. Today, pick the long game. Pick one area of your financial life where you've been making short-term decisions. One subscription you don't need, one purchase driven by status, one habit that leaks what God is trying to multiply and redirect it. Now, not forever, not perfectly, but today. Because discipline is not a personality trait, it's a daily decision. Made one day at a time for as long as it takes. Now, let me connect the full arc one final time. Episode 1, we talked about order, the sequence that prepares the ground. Episode 2, we talked about capacity, the ability to carry the increase. Episode 3, discussed freedom, the responsibility that comes with it. Episode 4, we talked about structure, the foundation that holds it all. Episode 5, multiplication, the output when all 4 are operating. Last week, episode 6, ownership, the protection of everything you've built. And now, episode 7, discipline, the law that sustains all 6. Now, you can have order, capacity, and freedom, and structure, multiplication, and ownership, and lose it all without discipline holding every law together. It says in Proverbs 21, verse 20, the wise store up choice food and olive oil, but fools gulp theirs down. The fool isn't broke. The fool had the blessing. He just couldn't keep it. I filed bankruptcy at 23 years old for $20,000. In 26 years since that day, I have never filed bankruptcy again, not even thought about it, not once. I've never taken out a business loan, not one. I have self-financed everything through savings and capital reinvestment. Delayed gratification every single day. Not because it was easy, because I knew what the alternative looked like. I had lived it, and I decided never again. I will do today what others will not, to live a life tomorrow that others cannot. That's not motivation. That's discipline. And discipline is the law that holds everything else together. If that's you want to invoke discipline in your life, drop discipline in the comment section below. And don't do it for me, do it for you. Mark the moment, drop discipline in the comment section below. And if you're watching this, you're feeling trapped in a career with no ceiling, in a business that stopped growing, in a situation where you know deep down that you're built for more, if that's you and you want more, you want some options, drop in the comments movement, and I'll send you a video link to check out. The link is going to be in the description if you drop that comment movement in the description below. No pressure, just information. But remember, information without discipline is just expensive entertainment. Part 2 drops this Wednesday. The 5 gotchas that are quietly destroying most people's wealth right now. We're going to discuss that. The laser test, the 4-filter system I use for every financial decision I make. We'll discuss that. And the framework that kept my clients safe when the stock market lost 37% in a single year. We're going to cover that too as well. So subscribe so you don't miss it. Smash that like button. Drop your biggest takeaway in the comment section below. I read every single one. I appreciate you for tuning in from Dallas, Texas. I'm your money smart guy. And until we meet again, continue to live smart, continue to love smart, and be money smart today.